on this computer.
There we go.
Okay, it just said recording in progress.
Thank you. It just took me a moment to figure out my own technology.
Well, hi, everybody. Happy New Year. And everyone can hear okay?
Yeah, so far.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with the roll call. Tyler Crook here. Will Nelson here. Kipola here. Tracy
Here.
Emily
Here.
here. Vacant. Oh, Vacant's not here.
Yeah.
Robin.
Here.
Councilor Hernandez.
Out sick.
Sarah Frost.
I am here.
And any other guests? There's one.
Here.
All right, so does anybody have any additions or changes to the agenda? I have one that I wanted to add in here. I meant to do it as an email, but then I got busy, and so it'll work out as a meeting. And that's to just start thinking about 501c3s. Probably under new business.
New business added to D.
All right. So we don't have meeting notes from the last one.
Apologies.
None needed. Life is complex.
Thank you.
We'll get it. So we'll just skip that today and get straight to our reports. Sarah, can I get your library report?
I do. And I'm realizing I never got to the net lending either, which is actually okay. I wanted to share an update to net lending numbers after having a quick conversation with Will about it. But the reports for quarter 2 aren't even available yet. So I have quarter 1 report printed out, and the print was me. So I needed to make adjustments to that. Never made the adjustments. So I will try to have a net lending report at the next month's meeting, and hopefully we'll have our updates from CCRLS on net lending for Q2 during that time. City updates. Things are trucking right along. I think the biggest thing I just need to make sure all of you are aware of is I am still serving about 50% of my time with administration, at least last payroll period, I sure did. So I'm continuing to help with areas that I can do from over here. So for an example, I'm overseeing human resources and the recruitment of all of our open positions right now. So my time's still not fully here, and I'm still representing the city at a lot of meetings. And I've been tasked with a couple of projects, one in which I'll be sharing with you all later this evening, unless you read the staff reports, and then you know all about it. So I just want to keep you guys updated. It will probably be through the rest of this fiscal year that I'm sharing my time with the library and the city administration. And hopefully by then, everybody will be onboarded and trained, and I will be back and ready for summer reading. So yes.
Not that I want to know too much info, but are you somehow being, or is a library being compensated?
So my time spent in administration is not against the library. So my time is tracked individually, and I assign my hours when I submit my payroll so that they are paying for my time.
Oh, thank you.
And when is fiscal year end?
June 30th.
Okay.
Right?
Right in the middle.
April, May, June. Yeah, 30th.
Okay.
We'll make sure that was a 30 month. So I just wanted to share that quick update. Things are going smoothly and going well. So Bridget has now been a month and a few days in her role as city manager. And is doing amazing work, and I get along with my boss great, which is wonderful news. And she's supporting the library, which is a bonus for us. And then we have recruited to backfill her position as the deputy city recorder, and we'll be conducting those interviews next week. We posted for a utility worker position, and we'll be interviewing for that position next week. We filled our code enforcement position and offered the job internally to Mardette Cook, who is currently our office coordinator at the front desk. She takes over that role officially on Monday next week, and we currently have posted on the website her position as office coordinator, so that is now an open recruitment. And we're just going along from there. Anything you guys want to know? All of our projects are moving along and things are going great as far as city's concerned, but I am happy to answer any questions you guys might have. No?
No,
Okay.
not a lot. We're just glad you're back.
Me too. I'm very happy to be back. I feel like I'm more in my element, even if I'm a little scatterbrained at the moment. I'm learning how to juggle still the two things. But luckily we have amazing staff at the city and at the library who don't mind me being a little kooky. But I'm happy to be back to
Okay, well, now the library board member reports. I don't know if we have any member reports that need to be updated. Usually it's just Capola, but you've been busy. Yes.
I've got one, the continuing one that started last year in December or January, and it was for a major focus on net lending.
Oh, yeah.
Acquiring books that are not in the regular budget, book budget, because the book budget was figured out 3 or 4 months earlier. And these are new books that are popular, like Atomic Habits. I bought it in December, and I think it came back twice for less than a week each time. It's been gone all since.
Oh, nice.
So that adds up on our net lending. And one interesting thing, Salem, my time's half up, Salem. Well, Gray and Ron started it. They bought a book, I think it was Atomic Habits. And then, what, half a year later, they added 7 or 8 copies. Maybe somebody bought them, but they laid them all on the same library.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so meanwhile, I'm buying books that I think are going to be off the shelf, adding up our net lending. And instead, what happens? Salem, I ordered Confidence Man, popular these days, another fiction book, popular. Salem had 1 or 2 copies, and then 1 or 2 copies, normal, sometimes 3 or 4. They went out and bought, what, 8 additional copies of both books that I had bought. Coincidence, probably. But they're using Grand Ron's method. My time is up. And with their budget, like they have over 650 books every single month, new ones.
Oh, wow.
It's an enormous amount.
Yeah.
So they can buy all these extra books. They're going to get back to net lending.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
therefore, any kind of good run that we had, it's back to minimal. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, we still have some things that I think that, like the D&D books still get net lending really well, right? Like, I don't feel like that's a big priority for a lot of libraries, and it's so popular nowadays. It seems like it would be.
And we're one of the few who have a decent collection, special collections such as D&D. And I think libraries, some have their own unique
preferences.
Yeah. So everybody's got different spending authority and preferences based on their at-home patron usage. And then you have libraries, like now that we've added Grand Ronde to the consortium, you know, they have a very unique collection that not a lot of other libraries necessarily have to offer to the consortium system as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see how their purchasing power has impact on net lending, because net lending is still based on a very complicated set of terms in the software on our end as to when it decides what library to pull a hold from. So until they tweak that set of parameters, basically, I'm not too worried. But there will be some impact, obviously, on highly sought after titles, I would say, probably, because they do. Salem's our large library in the system. They're the only large library, considered large library in the system, and they do have incredible spending power over the smaller libraries.
Yeah, 700 books a month, that's gonna be
That's fiction only.
like $5,000 or more, like that's several $1,000s, right? It's like,
Oh, easily, yeah.
yeah, because books are what, between 10 and
No,
50 bucks?
They're like, yeah,
they're
well,
20
like,
to 25.
probably 30 is their average, so 30 times 700.
You have to pay extra for books as far as like,
So they have the same purchasing agreement and contract they did, I should say. So they're now under a new librarian at Salem, and at one point we shared the same distributor, Baker and Taylor, and our contract agreement was the same as theirs, which was up to 40% off titles. It fluctuates depending on the demand of the title and what type of a title it is, large print, foreign language, yada, yada, yada. But assuming, without knowing, that they're working with that same contract, possibly under Baker and Taylor, then they probably have the same purchasing agreement that I do, because we're part of the same consortium, and which is why they offered me that deal at the time. So.
okay. All right, well, hopefully we can find a nice niche to still sell.
We shall bring balance to the force.
Yeah. All right, anything else?
Yeah. Imaginable by Jane McGonigal. Imaginable. Primarily, it's the subtitle, I see the future coming and feel ready for anything, even the things that seem impossible today. And that rang a bell with me, back to Tyler's first comment about we're going to look 5 years ahead when planning out this library. So what this book does, the table of contents is really excellent. You can scan through it in less than 10 minutes. And it goes through all these simulations, kind of like practice skits, kind of like an actor practices imagining things. Anyway, I feel through it well. One other thing that Sarah's been listening to, I know for years, and it's called Big Talk in Small Libraries. And in it, Sarah's already done some things that they mentioned, like having a food pantry here. When we had the power outage, she provided what she could, charging and Wi-Fi. Anyway, so this might open up our attitude towards, oh, maybe our community can use this. Just a table of contents will give you a good clue.
Yeah. Is Big Talk for Small Libraries a podcast?
It's a conference, and actually I just registered for this year's conference, which is in February. It's a one link per library, so if anybody's interested in attending it with me, it's offered virtually, and they have various sessions that you can attend, but it is very focused around small libraries across the nation. It's free to attend, which is a bonus, and it's a one-day event. Time zone difference, I think that conference starts at like 7:30 in the morning that day, but it's always been very well worth attending because you get to hear how similar we are all facing the same challenges and opportunities, and it's a chance to share creative minds, ideas, opportunities as well. So yes, it should be a podcast. That sounds like a great podcast name.
Is that so is that something you could send out a link and we could all just pop in at the same time, or would we all have to come here and huddle around?
We'd have to huddle. Yeah, that's how they prefer it's done. So but if you guys are interested, let me know and I can arrange it. I was just planning on sitting at home and opening it up and letting it run its course for that day. It is on.
You can't record it, huh?
You know, I probably could find a way, and they do offer the recordings afterwards.
Okay.
So it is February 24th. It's a Friday, big talk from small libraries, and it's our time zone, 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. That day. So yeah, let me know if you guys are interested, and I can gladly come in, or I will take excellent notes to share. I am yet to see what the conference offerings are for that day just yet. So
You said that they record it for later.
they do record the sessions for later.
A week later, a couple of days.
I think last year it was about a month out, and they had all the different, because it's various courses happening during different same time sessions. So you kind of choose which ones you want to listen in on and which ones you don't want to listen on. So
Nice. I wonder, do you think last year's are still up?
I could look and find out. I didn't go and look for them. I got busy. I attended the ones that I needed to, but I will find out.
Well, I think
I can, at least if anything, I can send out the link that links to the conference information so you guys can see what kind of information is out there.
Then let's move on to unfinished business. The new library facility. And Sarah and I have been talking. Sarah has actually been doing too much work on this already and managed to get how many people do we have now? 6 people?
6 people. 6, it sounds about right, that we've identified.
And I did not write down any of their names.
So we have, so we have Meg Comerford. She works with Hampton Lumber and is their community liaison, basically, and she has confirmed that she will be joining the conversation. We have Chris Darr from the West Valley Community Campus, who has confirmed she will be the representation from the campus. We have, who else confirmed?
We have it in the Google Doc.
We do have it in the Google Doc. We have Caitlin Zimbrick from the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, who has confirmed that she'll be part of the conversation, and she is their programs manager out there, so the resource program. So she's actually part of another conversation that I'll be having here in a bit, and we'll be partaking. So we've got the tribal representation, Hampton representation, the campus. We still need to get the school district to confirm that they would like to have representation at that table. And then we do have a couple more community members to connect with that are part of that list. But that's an excellent start to the fact that we have those confirmations even already of the people who are interested in participating. And Meredith Kendall, I just talked to her today and she would be very interested in being a part of those conversations as well. And she has been a community business owner. She runs the youth center nonprofit, just a lot of connections. And I think she would be a valuable resource at the table as well. So, and then I still have to reach out to our rural connection, our rural patron connection, but I am anticipating a confirmation there too, hopefully.
Excited.
Yeah.
It's been really exciting. It seems like everyone, like a lot of people have already heard about it somehow. A lot of loose lips around here. But people seem very excited and seem to understand the need and want to work on it, which is really, really exciting. So we're gonna try to schedule our first meeting for February. Was it the 14th?
Monday the 13th?
Yes, the 13th. Yeah.
February, what?
February the 13th. So that would be, and I think anyone on the library board can attend that if you want to, but I don't think it's mandatory.
So this is the new library meeting.
Yes, exactly. This will be the community members.
Isn't this the night that
Feedback group.
City Hall meets?
Tuesday the 14th is
Okay.
city council, yes.
Yeah, and then related to that, one of the things that came up in talking to the person who did the library in Jefferson was that they had to create a Friends of the Library 501c3, and it seems like something that we should. Seems like something we should have for fundraising, and if you have opinions about this, Kipola, please shout them out. But we'll definitely need it for fundraising to build a new facility. So I was hoping that we could, that I could get together with Kipola and Tracy. I understand did some research on how to set up a 501c3, and we could sort of work on that on the side and get it set up.
And
JL.
Marion.
Oh, yes, and Marianne Lucas set the 501c3 for the community campus, which was pretty recently, so she might have a good understanding of how to do it. Any thoughts about that? Anything? Yes. Did you unmute, Kipola?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, we've looked a lot into the 501c3, and I gotta say it's so much work and paperwork and legal jargon that I am incapable of taking on by myself. I had heard there was a possibility of, was it the president of the food pantry, the civic club, who might help us with the 501c3. So we might want to see about her joining our ranks as well.
Okay. Is that Katie?
JL.
JL.
I just saw her last week and she said she was coming to see me this week, I think, but I haven't seen her.
I wonder if it might be worth, just because they are connected, she is the civic club representation, if it might be worth inviting her to the table as well. Okay. Because part of the library facility planning will include filling a gap in food insecurities as well. So we might want to consider partnering with them anyways. And I completely left them off the list. So that is my bad in thinking of all the names. So I'm glad JL's name came up tonight, because what I love is that we have the wealth of information and knowledge in our own community. So I love that we can reach out to those individuals and include them in the process, because I'm sure both of them would be very willing to share their expertise and experiences with doing that process.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we could do that, if we're all working together, and leaning on everybody. Yes, Tracy.
I'm just wondering if the assumption is that we need the nonprofit in place before we can move forward with relocating. That's kind of what I heard, but I don't know that I
think that, yeah, that is the assumption. The reason being, my understanding is that in order to get a lot of grants, like private grants, like a government agency can't apply for a lot of private grants. So we need to have a 501c3 that can get the grants and then donate it to the city government to build the building.
Bridget just shared with me a good resource is recently, like within the last couple of years, if I'm correct, the Sheridan Friends of the Parks set up their and established our 501c3. Thank you, Bridget. So that might be a great resource as well, because they went through that process recently during pandemic time.
Oh, nice.
Have we, hi, have we heard whether, how backlogged they are on 501c3s? Because at the midway through the pandemic, it was about a 3-year stretch waiting period is what we were reported.
I imagine it's probably still backlogged. But probably the Sheridan Friends of the Parks could probably give us a better idea of what their experience was. Not having any direct knowledge, it's my understanding that they were still allowing people to operate under the 501c3 status until the official documents came through. I can't say that for 100%. But for some reason that information is in my head, which makes me wonder if that was a conversation that was had at the table I was sitting at one point in the last few years.
Well, yes, I had not even considered that there'd be a backlog like that. But I guess that just means we should start now.
Right. Yeah. Well, it would be great to hear what Sheridan had.
It's a very, very simple, complicated process.
Nice, but I think if we all work together, like it seems like one of those things like doing your taxes that is super stressful, but if you have a friend sitting there with you, you can do it pretty easy sometimes. You know what I mean? So I think if we all get together, we can make it fun. We can like mix cookies into the process or something and get it worked out.
It's possible that the group of people that we're bringing to the table to have the conversations around library facility planning might be interested in being involved enough to form a board that would be required for a Friends of the Library as well, which might be a topic of conversation to have with that group of people at some point, maybe not at kickoff, but if the group all has the buy-in to pursue library facility planning, we wouldn't want the 501c3 to be a hurdle just because we couldn't get enough volunteers to be part of a board to make decisions for the 501c3, because recruiting for that type of work would be on top of library volunteers, library board, and then the 501c3. Yeah. So that's might be something to consider taking to that group as planning takes place. Yeah, Tracy.
Yeah, I don't want to hijack the conversation to stuff I teach, but one thing, yes, you absolutely have to have a board in order to have a nonprofit. But those folks, absent insurance, are liable personally if something happened on site or whatever. We need to keep these factors in mind. There are hidden costs here that we don't know about that everyone should have on their minds if they're thinking about going forward with this, which is, of course, let's go forward. But you know, you wouldn't want to invite a library board on board without, you know, disclosing this information. Or conversely, you would want to have some insurance in place, and that can be kind of costly too. So, you know, I always wonder, you know, if Will's going to go out and sell books on the sidewalk to make enough money to cover some of these costs for a nonprofit. But
and we've had a Friends of the Library in the past that did not go well, right? Or did not end well?
It did not end well, yes. And, you know, luckily we have good models at other libraries. So what's nice is we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to get our own wheel made. So.
Did it not end well, or was it ambiguous?
It did not end well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if we necessarily have any action items on that today, but just something to start thinking about and keep in mind. And if anybody feels inspired, I'm sure that there's a million YouTube channels that just tell you how to do this sort of thing. You know, actually that was my plan this week, was to start listening to those while I'm doing my work. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to new business. Library board vacancy. You want to tell us about that, Sarah?
Yes, so you've all now been introduced to the wealth of knowledge I learned in the last 6 months and how to write a staff report. So this hopefully will help in the future when knowing when we need to make motions and have agenda items that need to be voted on, and give a little bit of information along the way ahead of time. So Dave Buswell we did receive his resignation in December, and it will need the board's approval to move forward with the recruitment of his vacancy. His term currently ends September 2024, so it would be roughly a year and a half, give or take, for this termed position. And then, of course, the term will start over, we'll recruit, and then whoever sits in the vacancy would be welcome to reapply for the vacancy or for that term at that time. I do want to say that Dave has been serving since 2016, which is when I took over the library, and he, as many know, has been a very valued member of the community, even though he is a rural community member, and he worked fierce his first term, I would say, for the library, and getting us to where we are and helping us to envision spaces such as the computer lab area. And I think, like a lot of other volunteers in the community, you just go, 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 and then you just kind of finally hit that wall where it's time to take a break. And I would like to ask the library board, before we move to the conversation of filling his board vacancy, if the board would like to or be open to some kind of recognition for Dave and his time on the library board.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, would the board have any thoughts, or would you like to think on it and send me any ideas? And or if each of you might be willing to just send me a little snippet, personally thanking Dave for his time, or any personal experience you've had working with Dave, or even outside the library community, if you've had the pleasure, I would love to compile just some notes to remind him that he is still very appreciated and valued at the library. So
That's all.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you can just email those to me at FrostDesk. No, just kidding. I will watch for those and I will work on putting something together. And if I can find a few dollars here or there, I might see about getting a little placard. Bridget, might need your help. Recognition for Dave, as well as I think of all the board members in my 7 years, besides Will, who's now serving out his terms. He's definitely been with me the longest since I took this job in August of 2016. So I appreciate that recognition of Mr. Dave as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay! So now I'll ask you guys to motion and approve his vacancy. So
I motion that we approve the vacancy for Dave Buswell. Is that how you say his last name?
yes.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous.
Aye.
Thank you. I will get recruiting on that, and hopefully by this time next month we will have some applications to consider.
Hey, Sarah,
Yes.
do you advertise such a position widely, or do you cherry pick or something in between? Just curious.
Something in between. We have to advertise it, and so we do on
Okay.
what city website, and it'll go on the bulletin board as well. And there will be a minimal time period in which it's advertised, which is 2 weeks. But we have been very fortunate at the library where we've always had potential applicants kind of out there in the wings, just kind of waiting to be like swept up into all the things we do. So we do have some people who we have asked and or have yet to ask to apply for the board vacancy. So, but that's not to say if any of you have people that you think would be a valuable team member too, please encourage them to reach out to me. And on top of that, just because when we don't have an opening, it doesn't mean that we can't invite people to see what we're doing as well. All of our videos are on the YouTube channel. So if you know somebody, but they want to know what we talk about, what we do, send them the YouTube channel link and invite them to come to the library and see what's happening in the library, or to talk to Carla or myself. So I will work on that recruitment, not this week, next week sometime, and get it up by the end of the week next week, so that it can run its course for the rest of January going into February. Yes.
Tracy.
Since Dave was a rural representative, do we need another rural representative, or is a citizen of Willamina acceptable?
Either or. So none of our positions are slated for in city limits or rural limits. So even as a school district representative, Robin is an outlier. Tracy, you are an outlier. And then
oh boy.
Oh no, and then the rest are within limit representation. We assuming would gladly accept applications from either or. So I think we're diverse and well represented for our rural and city populations. So, and hopefully y'all agree with that.
Okay, shall we move on to the second one?
Yes, so the second one was my miss until I came back and started looking at board terms. So the library board requested, the city council accepted that the representation of the Willamina School District on our library board was to fill the last 1 year of a previous term. And then should the library board wish to continue that representation, then we would request officially of the city council that one library board position officially always be designated as representation of the Willamina School District with a voting hand at the table. I missed that whole part in all of it, and also overlooked the fact that that one-term position was up in September. Luckily, Robin's still sticking it out with us. Her, if she wanted to keep on trucking along, she was more than interested and willing. So we still have the representation. We just need to ask the city council to officially give that position representation from the school district.
I mean, like forever, an open-ended.
Unless we decide otherwise at a later date.
At the time.
Yeah. So. But this gives flexibility to the school district too. So if for some reason next year Robin couldn't fill that role, we would be able to ask for other representation. Or if Robin's like 4 years, yeah, then she can sit in the position for 4 years. So it also grants the school district some flexibility because it's for the school district. It's not a designated person.
So there would be proposal, there'd be one from the school district and then 6 of us.
Yes, they would be one of the voting members of the total, correct.
That's something to think about. We've had very good attendance. We've had exceptional attendance, I think.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. It seems like it's something that having a well-established relationship with the schools was something that we desperately would want to hold on to. Yeah. Does anyone want to make a motion to request that, or do you want to
think about it?
Like you want to think about it? Well,
I'm thinking about our core. That's where I'm at.
Our core?
A quorum.
Or quorum.
Meeting a quorum. We increased from 5 people up to 7 because for whatever reasons, and there I guess a variety of reasons. I remember before I tried to join up, Sarah mentioned one time to a customer, or to actually to a board member maybe, or maybe to Kenna, that they didn't have, in the past 3 library board meetings, they didn't have a quorum. And
that was back when they had 5 members.
Right. And so I thought increasing it would give us better odds.
Yeah.
That's all. Now we're talking about cutting that back a little bit.
Well, we wouldn't be cutting it back at all. We would just be saying that one of the members would have to come from the school district.
Yeah.
Because there'd still be 7 members. We're just allotting one membership. Has to come from a specific source.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
It's like what a lot of our other, so the Planning Commission is a good example. They have dedicated, much like Tracy was just talking about, dedicated rural representation. And luckily we don't designate it in our quorum, but the library board could say that they want X amount of members to be rural representation. When I think about this, I'm trying to think past me and past all of us, so that if at any point board members present aren't here or I'm not here, it helps to continue to build that relationship and maintain the relationship between the public library and the school district, just on the sheer fact that we need each other and we need each other's support as well, because things are challenging in libraries, period, across the board. And Robin, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but public libraries and school libraries all face a number of challenges. And I think it sends a really strong message to the community when we have established relationships such as this at the governing level, administrative level, and school district level. So I would like to advocate, if no decision is made tonight, that this be tabled for future discussion to consider, since we've made a year plus now with the Willamina School District's representation as part of the quorum.
So would one of the main changes be that the school board representative would not have the same term limits as the other board members?
The term would come up, and then the library board would decide in 4 years that they would want that position to continue designated to the Willamina School District. So the term would be for 4 years for the Willamina School District.
So the board member would be the school district, and the school district would basically assign whomever they wanted to be.
And then, as good neighbors and in maintaining relationships, at year 3, I would say whomever or superintendent, hey, let's keep this going. Do you have somebody to continue? And then, hey, library board, can we fill the position and continue with said Willamina School District representation? Or if at that time it's not working out and for some reason we're not getting along or we're not helping each other in some weird relationship kind of role, then we could cut each other loose. So considering all scenarios, so but that would be the option at that point. So
the school district board member, would they have conflicting timeframes with our library board meeting and school activity? Because if they would, we have to be able to think about that ahead. That could happen. And if it does, can we actually plan ahead for it? Can we anticipate that? I think we should cover that.
Yeah, and again, Robin, feel free to jump in anytime if you wish to. I think that's valid, and I think no matter what, any relationship we continue to have with the school district will always fight the school district's calendar, just by the nature of activities and involvement, and they continue to add to their plates individually, just the same way that we do. But I don't see why that, as it hasn't caused any challenges, any unique challenges, and or couldn't be planned for. So, Robin, thoughts? Or
Well, I can understand that, but I don't really have, I mean, I'm usually free. The last meeting I accidentally missed because I set my alarm and then I walked off and went, oh, whoops. So anyway, I actually enjoy knowing what's going on with you guys because I obviously am a librarian myself. And I love working with Sarah, even at school. And I like, you know, she can always ask me questions on what she needs up there and I can tell them up there. So I enjoy this, but I understand if there was a conflict, but everybody has, you know, evening conflicts sometimes here or there. Even I can't make some things for school. So I appreciate being here and I would like to keep coming here, but I understand the other thoughts on it.
I think just the strong connection between the school library and our library is a real benefit to the children of our community and knowing what children need and their wants are. So I think that's a good relationship to keep.
And the alternative is that we don't make an official change to the library board rules, and instead we could just continue to sort of ad hoc try to ensure that.
If we choose not to fill the position, the technical vacancy by my mishap with the Wilmette School District, then we would advertise it out as a full vacancy and ask for it to be filled. So it was kind of a trial, I guess, is the way it was presented at the time. We were just coming out of COVID, and I saw an awesome opportunity to partner with Robin, just because of the nature of her work at the school, my work here, our ability to work together and collaborate to find a way to strengthen the relationship between the libraries and keep us working together. If we do that, then I will be honest, this group of library board members, I think, is the longest standing group of library board members I've had in 7 years. We have had at a time where we were filling a vacancy, and this is the strongest the library board has been in that 7 years, and have had our board positions full for more than a year at a time. So, and that is something to take into consideration too. Again, appointing it to the district allows flexibility. So if for some reason Robin wants to participate, that role can be passed to another member versus us filling the vacancy ourselves. Or if, you know, things happen and Robin moves up in the world of school district land, then, you know, again, that position is secure. So I think that there's a lot of pros and cons to establish either way and how we want to assign this particular board position. And it just depends on what the board decides it wants to do in ensuring a voting member at the table, I guess. So
I think strategically that's, excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tracy. No, go ahead, Tracy.
I was just gonna, you know, support Sarah here. Strategically, this seems like a very important and relevant relationship to nurture. So, and you know, you can finesse the language of how you propose this. It's not, you know, it's not something we couldn't kind of put our heads together and think about how to word the proposal in such a way that there could be an alternate, or, you know, if something went wrong, blah, but just to get, you know, get a formal establishment of an ongoing commitment to reciprocal assistance. I mean, that just is a no-brainer to me. However, it actually works out.
Ditto. I think this is a positive relationship that we should maintain.
All right, well, is there anybody who would rather we table this and come back to it next month, or should we, or does somebody want a motion for a vote?
I motion to make the Willamina School District a permanent member of the library board.
Second.
All in favor?
With the addendum that, yeah, all, yeah. Maybe we would want to look at a draft of whatever Sarah is going to send forward, you know, to establish the parameters of this, just, you know, as helpful eyes.
I would be happy to do that, as I will be preparing one of these beautiful staff reports for the city council.
I've heard about those.
They're amazing documents that take up people's time. I just want to verify that I had ayes from voting members, from all voting members. Was that correct?
I believe that was correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Aye.
Will, are you okay with this?
So we're not going to be advertising for Dave's position, correct?
We will. That was a separate motion.
Yeah.
Advertised for
We
Dave.
will.
Dave's is a separate position from the school district.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no.
I can't tell whether she's still on her thing or not.
7 total.
Right. One is a board member. One, two,
Yeah, besides.
3, 4, 5, 6. Dave makes 7.
Okay.
We're 1 short tonight.
Okay. Who's that?
Dave, the vacancy.
The vacancy.
Yes.
Okay, so that's that. And the process for that will be that you have to go to the city council and make the request that we
Yes.
change, because we have to change the board charter for that.
The board charter is a finalized document and supports this move.
Okay.
And I'm sure I could pull the verbiage out, but I feel like we wanted to establish Willamina School District as one of our partners in this charter that we recently approved as the library board. So that this would support that in the charter. So
Do you want people to come with you to talk to the city council? Is that-
you are all so welcome to attend those city council meetings anytime you want to. Rest assured that I'm sure it will go swimmingly well, and that I'm not too worried, but please feel free to attend either via Zoom or in person if you'd like to, as I still am Bridget's right arm person as we continue with our support and transition. So I'll be there. So
When is that?
it is Tuesday, February 14th. City Council has a work session that starts at 5. Typically, City Council meetings, regular meetings start at 6. Should the presentation that starts at 5 run any longer, though, that will cause a delay in the regular council meeting agenda. But I don't foresee it being a long meeting unless for some reason a lot of things are added at the last minute. So, okay,
We did it. Next thing.
sorry guys, I gave you guys lots of things this time. This one is important though, so if you can bear with me, this is the reason.
This is the community homelessness prevention and response.
Yes, this is the whole reason I made staff reports for this meeting, because I didn't want to have to say all of this. So in a nutshell, I am driving the conversations to be had surrounding homelessness prevention and response for the city of Willamina. Bridget, feel free to chime in at any point should you wish to. But part of that means having community conversations. There is state legislation that the city of Willamina needs to adhere to this fiscal year. And there is potential funding coming down the road. So to ensure that we're having good faith decisions made, I am inviting community members and partners to partake in a conversation with me around what homelessness looks like in Willamina. How can we respond to emergency shelter needs, and what does future planning look like? It's very big conversations to be had. It's a big project on my plate, but it's one that needs to happen at the community level, and I'm very passionate about it. Sometimes when we think about homelessness, we think about visible homelessness. We don't think about invisible homelessness. There's sheltered homelessness, couch surfing, staying with a family member. There's unsheltered homelessness, sleeping on the street or next to the riverbank. So, and it's apparent, and it is hitting the smallest of rural communities. So to ensure that we are doing our good faith in this conversation, I would like to ask that the Willamina Library Board choose a liaison or representative to be the sounding board and voice for the library, since I will be leading those conversations. I don't want to serve both roles. And the reason being is I very much am so passionate about this that I see it coinciding with the conversations around library facility planning in a number of ways to address and or support these conversations happening around homelessness. My friend Caitlin Zimbrick, who will be joining the library facility planning, will also be joining that community conversation and talking about what they're doing at the tribe level. I've invited Heidi Bell, the city manager at Sheridan, to talk about what they're doing to address this. So our two community neighbors are already moving forward with plans. And I want to make sure that we are also being a good community neighbor and being a part of the resolution, not ignoring the problem. So with all of that, our meeting, I am just now working on my invitation tonight. I'm piecing it together, and our first meeting will be Thursday, February 2nd, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. here at the library. Attendance at the first meeting is not necessary because we will be having many more conversations. However, if there's somebody passionate about this particular topic, or if the library board would like to appoint a representative, I'd love for this group to be at that table when we're having those conversations. Questions? Tracy.
Sure. Could you repeat the day? And I got the 9:30 to 11:30, I think, but what was the day of that first meeting?
Thursday, February 2nd. So there will be an in-person option, which I'll be trying to limit to 20 to 25 people. And then for those who RSVP to me, once I send the link out, needing a Zoom link, I will make a Zoom link available as well. Also attending that conversation will be my friend Ben Smith from the Polk County Community Resource Center. He is currently working with rural homelessness clients. Also joining will be Polk County Commissioner Gordon, who I'm on a task force with addressing Polk County homelessness. Also joining us will hopefully be the school district, as I connected with the superintendent today and will be sending out that official invitation. So, and then I will be inviting other community members to the table as well, representing churches, the campus, really key players who can make strategic things happen in our community surrounding homelessness. And I've asked Richie to connect with some of the youth we've worked with to see if we couldn't get impactful statements that we would be able to share during this meeting as well, so that we can understand that homelessness isn't what we see on the sidewalk, that there is a bigger problem happening on the other side of the fence. So, yeah.
Is there anybody who is into that, who is ready to like jump in? Volunteer to be a liaison?
You think
What?
the
I
meeting
mean,
would
it's
always be at that?
it's tempting to me because many of my grant writing projects at PSU are directly about, and by the way, I'll get semantic and use the term houselessness instead of homelessness. Having no home implies, you know, no connection, no support. You could not have a house and still have a family who loves you, you know. Anyway, but I'm just like crushed at PSU, I have to admit. But boy, yeah, I'm really interested in this topic, so I'm not ready to do any more volunteering, but I'm thinking about it. How long do we have to what?
Well, but when I send out the invite, yeah, when I send out the invite later tonight or tomorrow, it will, I'm asking for RSVPs by the 31st. I already have one community
31st.
member who can't make it, but I'm meeting with them beforehand to get their feedback. And then they'll attend future meetings. Emily asked if this would be the same day time held for these conversations. And really what my ask will be at this first conversation will be to identify those who want to continue having the conversation, to formalize a more centralized task force that can move on the topic, so that that group would then hopefully decide on what works for them for having future conversations as well. So if it—
No, is this the city? Is this the city you're talking about, or the library task force?
Is a City of Willamina project that I am leading.
And we want to have
Right, and you want at least one library board member to be a representative, right?
Yes, okay. So that as the topic starts to be broached about facility planning, that will probably come up in those conversations. We make sure the library is well represented at the table and able to report back to this group without bias. Not saying that I'll have it, but probably will. What is happening at that conversation and or how the library supports that conversation. We, I feel, are the biggest key player in our city administration, and we can have the biggest impact in this conversation. Not saying that administration or public works couldn't, but I feel like this is where we can fill the need and help the most. So, Bridget, am I missing anything, and or do you want to contribute? And if not, you don't have to unmute. Okay.
What was Dave's position called again?
Dave was community support and code enforcement.
And we are in the city's looking for somebody for that job now?
The position's been filled and they start training officially on Monday.
They might be a good person to have in this group. Or,
yes.
Or if not in the group, then passing the word every single meeting, getting feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mardette will be a part of these conversations, if not directly, then indirectly. So part of this is next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. The library will be at Willamina's central point for their, the point in time count. This is a yearly count that's done to identify those experiencing homelessness in our communities. those who have not been sheltered the night before count as a number. However, through our partners at Polk County Resource Center, we're taking that up a notch and trying to have conversations and ask additional questions that I help to identify the bigger problem again in our community of those experiencing housing crisis or are on the verge of housing crisis. And I will be doing a training Thursday afternoon on how to give that survey myself. And then I'll be teaching Mardette, and Mardette and I will be the on-staff people during that week who can give that survey to community members as needed. And hopefully this year's count can give us a better picture of what some of the underlying numbers and issues are in our rural communities. And if the library does not wish to appoint a person tonight, that is okay, because it is a big conversation and it takes commitment. It will take a commitment to have some tough conversations and be a voice at the table. But again, if any group is capable and or can probably offer immediate impact in driving the conversation, I think the library can do it. Also, if you all want to think about it, and let me know if you would like to attend the first meeting to make that decision. I'm okay with that too. And then the group can reconvene next month. And if anybody was able to attend, further discussion could be had to make that decision to represent the whole party at the table.
Yeah, I think this is a very worthy goal. Obviously, the library would have a lot to contribute to anything that the community does to address houselessness. I'm very, very tempted, but I am like Tracy, where I'm worried about my time commitment. I think that's probably true for everybody. Is that the time commitment is a little bit spooky. What at the very least, we should have somebody who can go to a meeting, listen, and then report back. And if that was like the minimum that we decided was acceptable, then I think I would be happy to do that. And in fact, maybe even Tracy and I could switch off different meetings if that's all we needed to do. But also, I suspect that once we get into it, we might get excited and start making plans. So the proposed action here is a motion is made to request that the board appoint a liaison to participate in the Community Homelessness Prevention Response Project. Do we want to try to vote on that tonight, or do we want to just sort of maybe try to make it to the February meeting? Do we want to table this and come back to it next month after the first thing?
I think we should do it this evening.
Yeah. Do you want to make a motion?
Well, make a motion that we appoint someone or actually appoint someone. Which are we talking about?
Yeah, like is this, oh, sorry. Is this a possibility that we as a board can share this role rather than one person be appointed?
It sounds like that's a possibility. We got head nods.
That is an option, and that can be represented in the motion. I know the time of day and the day of the week chosen is not ideal. I did that intentionally just because I had other community partners who were going to be here that day at the service integration team meeting in the afternoon. And the consultant who is working with us for Polk County rural homelessness will be available that day as well. So it was a very selfish decision on my part, which is why I didn't send out surveys to people interested, just because I knew I was going to have all the right partners at the table that morning. But those are some of the players having these conversations that I'm involved with.
Is this going to be a Zoom meeting or potentially?
Yeah. There is a Zoom option, yes.
It'll be a hybrid.
Okay.
I'd be willing to join in Zoom if at all possible. I need
And
to
it's
check with my
9 a.m. to 11
9:30 to 11:30, February 2nd.
a.m.
Yes.
Good
Yeah,
job.
you won't catch me that time of night on a meeting. If I'm in a meeting that time of night, I'm gonna have a conversation with my boss about meetings in the future.
Yeah, because I would like to attend that, even if we don't have a liaison. So let's do that then. Let's, unless you want to make the motion to vote on it tonight. What you want them to do, you do as well.
No, that came from when I was chosen the vice president of the board way back when. And they did it because I was the new guy. In fact, Capola is one of the persons I think that spoke up. No, it wasn't Capola. Who was that? Anyway.
Could have been Dave.
Yeah, these people spoke up and, well, you're the vice president. So I was just trying to get it done, not me.
So I've got Emily's interested in a Zoom link. Tracy, would you be interested in a Zoom link?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tyler, would you be interested in the Zoom link?
Do you want to send me a Zoom link? I'll try to come in person.
But I want to reserve a seat for anybody wanting to be in person. So that's why I want to make sure.
Oh, God.
So I've got a Zoom link to Tracy, a Zoom link to Emily, an in-person hold for a potential Zoom link for Tyler. Do we want to call that good? And what's nice is this time next month, we'll have an update on this and we'll have an update on library facility planning as well.
Yeah, that'll be a big day.
It will be. This board just gets stuff done. So I like it.
So assigning a liaison will be put to unfinished business next month.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Any public input?
No.
No, there's no one from the public here. Any announcements or calendar stuff to go over? Other than February 13th, we're doing the facility, our first facility meeting. February 14th is the city council meeting where Sarah will request that we make a school board member, a permanent member of the library board. Anything else?
I do have something to give you, and I meant to put it on this agenda, but it will be on next month's agenda. I will be out of state March 4th through March 15th.
15?
Yes.
1-5.
1-5. Returning back to the library March 20th. So 2 weeks I will be off. I will be here for the library board meeting that month, but either expect a super early agenda from me or a night before agenda from me in March. So that's my pre-warning, and I'll warn you again next month as well.
Shooting for a low effort agenda.
Low effort, I like that.
All right. Does anybody want to motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A second. All right, we are adjourned.
7:21.
By the way, the big talk from the small libraries, they put a schedule for this next year on Facebook in the past 2 weeks.
Nice.
And since Sarah follows it, she could probably forward it to everybody if they want it, right?
Yeah, if I go do some digging, I'll put that on my list of things to do.
You do.
Ooh.
All right,
Okay.
we did it, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Very good meeting.